Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spill the Tea Radio, where we interview awesome singers, songwriters, and those who influence their lives. Spill the Tea Radio explores the journey, creativity, and inspiration behind the songs. My next guest grew up in Toronto and is the vocal powerhouse at the front of the band Propter Hawk. Her voice has the raw energy of Janis Joplin blended with the melodic tones of Paul McCartney. The Propter Hawk sound has been described as indie meets classic Southern rock. She is a self-proclaimed lover of animals, wine, and real housewives. So let's spill the tea with Malorie Blake. Welcome, Malorie.
Thank you so much, David, for having me.
This is we were just chatting before we came on the air about how I how I discovered the band. I mean, how I found you for the interview, and it was through a YouTube video. And what really attracted me to the sound of the band is your vocals, like your vocals that are up front. You are as the description, a powerhouse with your vocals. We we know that we talked about musical influences, and other than your sister being in music, there's really no influence from your family. So where do you think you got this powerhouse voice from?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for saying that. I really appreciate that. It it's a good question because yeah, I didn't have too much of a musical influence from my family growing up. I mean, we definitely listened to music, like records and things like that, but no one was really a singer or played an instrument or anything like that. So I think how it started was I just really always loved listening to music. It's still something that I do daily for a couple of hours a day, probably, I'd say. So I think the love of music just kind of turned into a passion for wanting to create music as well, which kind of started when I took a musical theater class when I was in elementary school and realized maybe, there was some ability there vocally. And so I thought it would be fun to kind of meld those two together and see what I could create. But yeah, a bit of an unconventional start, I guess, since no major influences.
Most people that have that kind of power behind their voice have taken some kind of vocal training. They've worked with a vocal coach because belting the songs out at that level uh, for an extended period of time can be quite taxing on your voice. So, how do you maintain and sustain that kind of level of vocal power?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I actually I have not taken vocal lessons before. I guess you could say in musical theater, that is in a way learning about music and how to sing. But yeah, I can't read music. I don't play an instrument, and I've never taken any specific vocal training classes. It's something that I do find interesting and that I think would be something to do that would be good in the future, even just because, like you said, it can be very taxing on your voice, and it's important to know how to actually sing properly so you're not damaging your voice or anything, especially when you're screaming into a microphone. It's like, so it's definitely something that I am interested in doing, but not something that I've really done so far. Before we go on stage, though, we do like to do vocal warm ups.
Mhm.
So that's literally just like putting on a YouTube video for 5 minutes and just going through the exercises in the video. But I do find that that makes a difference, even just doing that. So,
Your spouse, Andrew, he was a founding member of the band. He's no longer with the band, but he was a founding member of the band. How did that
right.
influence your involvement with the group?
So Andrew is definitely he's incredibly creative. He's great at art. He's like creating all of the art for our singles, and he's been so valuable in that way. He's always been so great at that. And he's also a great lyricist. So a lot of the songwriting, especially for the first album, it was a joint effort between him and I, but he did a lot of the lyric writing. And I think that that has really shaped kind of the Propter Hawk vibe and style. Um, he is a founding member, and really, yeah, I think the point of view of the band was very much established by his creativity and approach initially. So a lot of what we do today is still very much drawing from that, I think.
When we have creative couples working together, so you mentioned that you work with Andrew in writing some music. Uh, how does that work for you? Because working with a creative partner that you're not married to, if you have a disagreement, you could just go your separate ways, and tomorrow you can come back and deal with each other. When you're living with the person, you can't do that. So how does that creative process work between the two of you? Is there separation between creativity and home life, or does it just all mesh together?
Well, that's a really good question. I think I think for the most part, we're able to separate the two. But it is difficult because you still have this relationship with that person that exists outside of what you're doing creatively, right? So it's even if you're trying to compartmentalize, um, there's still just all of the feelings that you have toward this person based on that other relationship that's already established. So um, I think we tried to separate it as much as possible. But I think for him and I, we also have a really deep respect for one another. And we really value each other's input and opinions. And so I think that's enabled us to work really, really well together because it can be sort of like an empowering and encouraging creative process. But we're also very, we're very honest with one another. So it can be constructive as well, because if one of us, if we're putting something together that we don't think is great, then we can be open to talk about that too. So yeah, I think I think we try to we try to keep it as separate as possible, but just always be as respectful to one another as possible. True.
Propter Hawk as a band name. I'm so
Mm.
interested to find out how that came about. Uh, I mean, Propter, helicopter. There's a, my mind just went in 1,000 different directions when I saw the name of the band. So help us understand, where did that name come from? How did you come up with it?
Okay, so I can't take the credit entirely for this. I have to give the majority of it to Andrew. But so it actually comes from post hoc ergo propter hoc, which is a Latin phrase. It's a logical fallacy, and it actually means after this, therefore, because of this. So we basically took the Propter Hawk from that, and then to kind of, psychedelic it up a little bit, we changed the spelling from HOC to HAWK. And that's kind of how the name was born.
So who's the Latin scholar in the group that even knew about this phrase?
That would be Andrew. Even though he's not a trained Latin scholar, this came from him. So yeah.
Wow, wow. Great story behind that band name. They're always so interesting to find out. You are now, you're performing at a great level these days. When you are going up on stage, you seem like an extremely confident individual. When I talk to A lot of artists, they say,
Thank
well,
you.
really, I'm, kind of an introvert and I really struggle to get up on stage. When you're going up on stage to perform, do you still get a little nervous? Is there still a little anxiety there, or are you just so confident in your own skin that it's just your home now?
Well, thank you for saying that. I'm glad that I project that confidence. That's good to hear. I think you always get nervous before a performance. It's live, so anything can happen at any time. There's always a level of uncertainty, no matter how much you've prepared for it. And it's, singing, it's like it's your voice, it's coming from within your body. So if you're tired that day or like it, you just kind of never know. There's a lot of variables. So I think there's always a bit of nerves.
The genre that your music has been described in is indie, or a fusion between indie and southern rock. Was that on purpose, or did that just happen by osmosis, that's just the sound that came out?
Yeah, that's just the sound that came out. There's kind of a like a twang or some southern element that comes across in the vocals. I can't explain why or what that is. It's not intentional. It's just kind of how my voice comes out. So, I mean, we have some guitar riffs in there and things that kind of embody that style as well. But there are definitely things about it that, yeah, project this kind of southern rock vibe. And I really can't explain how that ended up, but it's there for sure.
Let's get into one of the songs that Propter Hawk wrote. This song was written by band members Alec McEachern and Brian Dero in Brian's basement several years ago. It's been revived and modernized for today's world. So let's take a listen to singer-songwriter Malorie Blake and Propter Hawk and their song, Time Won't Wait.
In time won't wait much longer.
That was Time Won't Wait by Malorie Blake and Propter Hawk. Mallory, tell us, what is that song about and what was the inspiration for those two gentlemen to write it?
So, yeah, so as you said, it was a song that they wrote in Brian's basement many years ago. The lyrics, I believe, from what I understand, are about a couple fleeing political uncertainty. So I think that was the vibe that Brian and Alec were initially going for. It started out as like something very kind of light and acoustic. And then once we worked with it a little bit more, it went through a lot of changes. Jimmy helped us rearrange it. Alec wrote a new course for it. We changed the key. So it really kind of took on a different life. And even while we were recording it in studio, like it was recorded live off the floor, the gang vocals on the song were improvised. So it's kind of just been an evolving project since it started in Brian's basement many years ago.
Mallory, tell us, how do people find out more about you and your music? What's the website? What are the socials? What's the streaming platforms?
For sure. So we are on all streaming platforms. You can find us on any of those. Our website is propterhawk.ca. So that has a lot more info about us, our press kit, merch, information about our shows. Probably the best way to contact us or follow us would be through Instagram. We are on other social media as well. So in addition to Instagram, we're on Facebook. We have a YouTube account, but Instagram is where we post the majority of our updates, and our website will also link to our Instagram and all of our social accounts as well. But that would be the best way, I think, to follow us.
We have been in conversation with Malorie Blake. Mallory, thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much, David.